Okay, so this is where my mom lived, and wow, okay, shit. Oh God, this is also where she died, and I just felt guilty that I couldn't help her for like 20 years, and I think you throw good money after bad money, and you get all these apartments and houses, and you try to buy her safety and shelter, and you can't. Because this is where she wants to be.
So this is a video I don't think any creator ever wants to do, and I've learned that in a creator's journey, that your personal life, whether you want to or not, your personal life gets heavily intertwined with your public life. And that means that there's just some things that you cannot hide, and you cannot keep away from the public. So as the title says, and my mom lived the van life, and she died in the van. So I thought that was really important to share with you guys, to talk about van life culture, what actually happened, why this is like important, and especially for women, especially with the economy and a lot of people looking for alternative housing. I thought this was just a really important topic and an important piece of content to talk about and to share with you guys. So I'm going to start with how this all happened, how I found out about this, and then I will backtrack to why she decided to live in the van and the van life and all that stuff. So, because I think the context is really important. So on Mother's Day of 2024, so this is just a month ago from about today when I'm posting this video, I got a call that my mother was found in a van, deceased in a van, or as we say on the internet, unalive, in a van in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And she had been there for a little over a month, or roughly about a month. And so the van was covered in maggots and flies, and the body was there for a very long time. And so my brother went there and called the medical examiner's office and had them remove the body and so forth. So I flew out to Virginia, and to help my brother, obviously, and to help wrap up the circumstances around my mother's death. We spent hours cleaning out this van.
Yeah. So as I was saying, here we are. We're going to this courtyard, and fuck, this is her trailer right here. This is a trailer that she had hitched to the back of her van, and this is the van, and this is the van that she was living in. So the reason why we're putting on a hazmat suit is because she died in this van, and her body was there for a month maybe, and after a month the body starts to, you know, decay, and all kinds of shit happens, especially like flies. So the van is full of flies and maggots, and we have to move this van, but to drive it means that we got to air out the flies before that happens. You can smell it, and actually you can smell it like just standing here. You could smell the inside of the car. It smells pretty gross. It's very strong, which is not great. Not a good feeling here. So those are the flies. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh God. Wow. Oh. Oh. Oh God. It smells terrible. Okay. So that door is open. Hey. Okay. 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 Okay.
As you can see, it was really a mess, and obviously, like, there was stuff everywhere, and and just like you would imagine when you find an unalive body in a van, and so we spent hours doing this. We're just trying to find clues as to what happened, why she was in that van, whether somebody had hurt her, whether she died of natural causes, and so forth and so on. Now, after we're cleaning up the van and we're thinking that we pretty much have wrapped up everything and we've gone through everything, we've kind of figured out like who to notify, what was important to keep, what documentation. We talked to the detective on the case, we had talked to the medical examiner's office and everything, and we kind of thought we had wrapped up everything. And then we get a phone call from a woman claiming that she had power of attorney over our mother. And she claims that my mom gave her power of attorney and that she has all, and somehow she's come into having all of my mother's belongings. And my first question to this woman is, well, if you have power of attorney, then why was my mother unalive in a van for like a month? Because if you have power of attorney, then you should have been in touch with her on a regular basis, and you would have known that she was no longer with us. And this came as a complete surprise to us because our mom did not like anybody controlling her. Our mom would not give up willingly power of attorney to anyone. And so we thought that was kind of bizarre. This is just one big scam. And this is the thing about van life, is that there are people watching that could be watching, and you don't really know who is following you, who has been keeping an eye on you, or anything like that. And that is very dangerous because it puts you in a very vulnerable place. Now, I am not a van life expert, so I cannot tell you what the safety measures are, but I think that most people, when you hear this story, it's just one more anecdote of why you need to be careful. I think one of the biggest issues with van life is that people don't take seriously enough that it's not like the overt predators that come after you. It's not the people with big knives and the big men that come after you. It's people that try to take your identity. It's people that see you alone, living in your van, that they see you in a vulnerable place, and they assume that you're lonely, and they assume that you need a friend. And sometimes that's true. In a lot of cases, that's true. You need someone to talk to. And they prey on your vulnerability. They prey on the fact that you're alone, or maybe you get sick and you need a little help. And then they take advantage of that, and the advantage just grows and grows and grows. And next thing you know, they're in your personal life. They're in your house, they're in your van with you, they're going through your personal items, they know your name, they know your social security number, they know, your family, or they can go through your phone and stuff like that. And then they just seep more and more into your life, and they just do things like what has happened with us and our mother. And so I think one of the biggest things with this is to be careful about the people that attach themselves to you. My mother was a beautiful, energetic, vivacious person who at the end of her life got sick, and she got stuck in her van. In some capacity, we don't know all of the details, but she for some reason could not get out of her van. And these people, whoever they are, they saw an opportunity. And they saw an opportunity to take advantage of someone, and when they were in a very vulnerable place, and they used it. And so I think that is something that people need to think about more, because I think in America, with technology and with social media, we have this idea that we're all very safe and that our information is secured and that our privacy is secured in a lot of ways that it's not. So there are a lot of, I guess you could call them, scam artists out there that prey on people. And there are a lot of people that are too embarrassed to talk about it. They're too ashamed to talk about it. A lot of families out there that have children, that have parents that have been conned, and they are too afraid to talk about it. They're too afraid to make a YouTube video. They don't want to show their parents in a vulnerable situation like this, where they were living in their van and they seem to have fallen on hard times. And and had no one to count on and somebody preyed on them, it can come across as a very humbling experience for a lot of people, and it can be embarrassing for a lot of people. But I do think that the more people that do not feel shame around this, that feel brave, and that feel like they can come out with their story, the more these things are going to come to light. And I think in today's age with YouTube and with social media in general, that we should talk about these things. There's no shame in talking about them. My mother decided to live in a van in 2019. And while she was living in that van, she wanted to travel the country. My mother was handicapped. She had rheumatoid arthritis. She had it since she was a juvenile. My mom oftentimes walked with a walker. She sometimes had mental illness issues, and that drove people away from her. She also was an heiress to a Texas oil fortune. It is the Taylor Stevenson Ranch in Houston, Texas. And the inheritance from that is what enabled my mother to support herself for many years. And that's what enabled her to buy this van. That's what enabled her to travel around the country. And my mother was very proud of her lineage. She was very proud of her father, who enabled us to have access to this inheritance. She was very proud of that. And she sadly would tell anybody that was interested in listening about her father. She would tell anyone who was listening about Texas and about the family oil and about the land and about the history and about the legacy, because she was very proud of it. But at the same time, this attracted a lot of unsavory people throughout her life. And you can say that this was her fault and this was her responsibility. And you're right. Some of it is her fault and her responsibility for talking too much and for attracting these people, and also for not being a better filter. But at the same time, someone did break the law by claiming to have power of attorney over her when they clearly did not, and by utilizing her or using her to gain access to her resources. So I think they're two separate things. And I think that the latter thing is a very real thing that can happen to anyone. And if you're out there and you're living the van life, you're in the public eye, and you are, even if you don't have any resources, even if you don't have a story like my mom's, that you are careful with the people that you let into your life and the people that you are around, and who clings on to you and who doesn't. I think that is very important, especially in the economic times that we're in today, where resources for a lot of people are getting smaller and smaller. It is more attractive for many people to want to take advantage because they're more desperate. People are more desperate than ever before. And all I say is, don't let this be you. I'm telling this story because I live in the internet culture. I make content. I know people want to associate with people that make content and that have a lot of followers and stuff like that. And I want people to know that this is the reality sometimes, that people want access to you more frequently than not. We are still looking for answers. So if you knew my mother's name was Felicia Vivian Williams Butler. She lived in Newport News for over 20 years. And many of you probably know my mother and Newport News for having the Purple House on Curtis Tigner Road. My mother was, pretty active in the community, and, so you may know her from that. But if you are out there and you are considering living the van life, going off the grid, it seems very appealing. I just want you to take care of yourself and be prepared and be safe, and think about the people that you are talking to, and the people that maybe seem a little bit too enthusiastic about you and want to be in your life. And I guess in honor of our mother, that is the best thing that I can share with you. That's the best thing that I can tell you to do. I think my siblings would agree. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope the story helps someone out there. I will see you guys in a future video.